Fast and Furious can briefly be summarized with random crazy stunts involving cars, dead characters coming back to life and twists that could rival a M. Night Shyamalan film. It has been a long-running franchise for 22 years, has made stonks at the box office and gained a fan base from around the world. It had to end at some point. Right. The two-part, Please Don't Let It Be 3, finale of the franchise starting with Fast X, the 10th installment that released on the 19th of May in most countries, will be the beginning of the end for the franchise. But is this 2.5-hour film any good? As this film will be based on my own opinion, please don't take anything I say to heart, as you should form your own opinion of the film. Thanks for watching and hope you like the review. 10 years ago, in a flashback to Rio, the setting of Fast 5, a vault containing $100 million belonging to a corrupt businessman Hernan Reyes, is stolen by Dom and Brian from the point of view of the Reyes family. Dante, not to be confused with the poet or the Devil May Cry character, the son of Hernan Reyes, witnessed the heist and joined his father in stopping Dom and Brian. In the fight on the bridge, while Dom with the power of family defeats the Rio police with nitrous, wheelies and a large vault, Dante's car is hit by Dom's charger and he falls in the water. Then the title shows. Don't worry, there's no more flashbacks that take up half the film. F9. In the present day, Dom is teaching his 8-year-old son Little B how to drive with his iconic Dodge Charger. After some googling, it turns out if you are on private property and don't break the law, you can drive at 8. I'm pretty sure the parking lot of Dodger Stadium isn't owned by Dom, but nobody is there, so I guess it's fine. They drive back to 1327 and have a barbecue. Roman and Tej set up a dating profile on Tinder for Han because they seem to think that he needs to start dating, despite neither of them having any girlfriends. Dom's Abdulita gives a speech about family and how the road has been very hard and unfair. #Justice for Jesse. He died on the front door of 1327 and nobody cares. There's a reference to Los Bandoleros and Fast and Furious, which is pretty neat, and some pictures from the films that somehow were taken. I guess Dom has a tripod and camera magically set up while these scenes took place. Roman, Han and Ramsey are heading to Rome as the agency sent them on a mission to steal a supercomputer chip. Roman is finally satisfied he is having a leadership role. So expect a lot of delegation to Tej. After Little B is put to bed, a figure steps out of the gullwing doors of a DeLorean Alpha 5 concept car. The figure stumbles to 1327, blood being left on the post box, and knocks on the door. It's Cypher. Sorry Cypher, you're a bit too late for the barbecue, you can always come back in the next film. Flashbacks to the 8th film and how Cypher killed Elena occur. Wait, wasn't it Connor Rhodes? Cypher begs Dom to hear her out and is let inside. Cypher says that Dom is the enemy of her enemy, and in a flashback to her base in Los Angeles not that long ago, Dante walks in and asks to team up as they are after the same thing. Dom. Cypher refuses as she just wants to kill Dom, not make him suffer. Dante reveals to Cypher's army that their loved ones are being held captive, so they all turn on her and Dante takes her tech. As Cypher never trusted her army to begin with, she beats them up and escapes injured before stumbling her way to Dom. In the morning, Cypher is sent to a black site prison by Little Nobody, who suddenly reappears after his absence in F9, and the agency. Little Nobody reveals that the agency never sent Roman, Ramsey, Tej and Han on a job in Rome, leading Dom and Letty along with Little Nobody to head to Rome to warn them using every form of communication possible, even Tinder. At Rome, the unaware team heists the truck with an RC-controlled tiny Tej. Han knocks out the drivers behind with gases while Roman blinds the ones in front with his gold Lamborghini. Ramsey and Tej get on the truck but are soon locked in, informing Han and Roman that it was a trap. The truck is being controlled by Dante, who plans on blowing up the Vatican with a bomb. Han and Roman try to stop the truck but fail as the bomb crashes through. When the police arrive, they are gone as Han, Roman, Ramsey and Tej escape into the catacombs. Letty chases Dante on her bike. He throws a bomb under Little Nobody's car and Letty warns him in time just as the bomb goes off. He survives although injured, and Letty loses track of Dante, then gets arrested. Dom is racing to stop the bomb while being chased by the Italian Rozzers. Anyway, Dom can't stop the explosion but minimizes the impact by steering it into the water, only causing structural damage and a shockwave. Dom is seen standing outside of the Rome Colosseum in plain sight even though he has been framed. Then Dom meets up with Queenie and lies low soon after. The team are framed for the explosion, being labeled as terrorists by the media and jumping to the most wanted list, and are now fugitives. Wait, they already did this in Fast 5. As little nobody is injured, Agent Ames replaces him as the leader of the agency and wants to capture Dom's family as he believes they were always criminals. Then he gives a rant of Dom and his team in the middle of some screens with some incorrect information. The opening info was the DR, not LA, to Tess or Little Miss Nobody, Mr. Nobody's daughter, who believes Dom and his crew are innocent and goes to track Dom. Tess finds Dom in a bar by stealing God's Eye from the agency and orders them Belgium Ale, a reference to Furious 7. She informs Dom of Ames wanting to capture Dom and gives Dante's location, then heads off to go to Letty, receiving Dom's cross as a message for her. By the way, when Tess enters the bar, Maniskin was playing. Finally, some good music in this franchise. Roman, Tej, Han and Ramsey go to London through a shipping container because Roman is such a great leader, not realizing that London is one of the most surveillanced cities in the world, and they hide somewhere, with Ramsey finding out their bank accounts have been drained. Roman reveals stacks of cash being hidden, a nod to Too Fast Too Furious, inside his jacket, so they ain't hungry no more, and they head to an internet cafe. It's 2023, who goes to an internet cafe these days, where Ramsey meets with a friend Bowie who can get military grade gear. Roman and Tej soon get into a scrap over receipts, while Han, tempted by fun muffins that have drugs inside them, soon goes on a trip, something I thought I would never see in a Fast and Furious film. Bowie soon betrays them as people are being offered millions for the crew and probably bragged about it on Discord when they left. Just before they leave, Ramsey punches Bowie and Roman blinds him with some dust he probably got from a magic shop. Back at 1327, Mia and Little B are playing some Forza Horizon 5 before being raided by the agency. Mia fights off them while Brian runs to the bathroom to hide. Good news, the Xbox remained unharmed. Jacob saves them and takes Little B and him on a fun trip to a safe house in Portugal where they will meet up with Dom, as that is where the team would go if the whole world went to hell, while Mia hides somewhere safe. Tess visits Letty at the agency's black site and stabs her, sending her to a medic bay where she is healed by lasers. Is this Metal Gear Solid? Letty wakes up next to Cypher and she overrides the area, sending gas into the people watching them, knocking them out. They have a few minutes of time and get into a fight because why not? Dom goes to Brazil where he meets with Diogo, a street racer from Fast 5, and Isabel, also a street racer. One of Dante's associates informs him of Dom's presence and the four have a street race. Dom soon has to choose between Isabel and Diogo as they have bombs underneath their cars. Dom chooses to save Isabel, but Dante sets both bombs off, with Dom saving Isabel in time and Diogo dying. Best cameo in Fast X. Turns out Isabel is Elena's sister. Jacob and Brian abandon Jacob's Mustang, a reference to F9, and head to the airport with fake passports. They board the plane to Portugal and some people from the agency are there too. Jacob and Brian head to the cargo hold where Jacob reveals a plane to fit the both of them and they take off. How does that even work? Han leads the rest of the team to the last place he wants to be. Shaw's hideout. Han goes in alone and the rest are locked out while Shaw fights Han, who mistakes him pulling out a bag of snacks for a gun. They are soon ambushed by the agency and team up to fight them. Ramsey unlocks the door and the trio find a lot of bodies and that guy from the punching bag who runs off in his underwear, so the post-credit scene in F9 meant nothing. What was even on that USB then? They get gear and cars from Shaw and he goes off to save his mother because she assisted Dom, and along with any other associates of the family are now being hunted by Dante. Mercenaries are also being funded by their money as well. They go to Portugal to meet up with Dom after Shaw arranges transport for them. Back in Rio, Isabel tells Dom about the files she got from Elena, and Dante's past is gone over with only one property belonging to Hernan Reyes that was passed on to Dante, the police station from Fast 5. Dom goes there and Dante introduces him to his mood room or vision room. Something along the lines of that. Dante tells Dom he will begin going after his family and the agency raid the place and arrest Dom. At some point in between one of these scenes, Dante is painting the nails of some dead members of Cypher's army. This film is a 12. I'm surprised it could get away with that. Letty finds an exit to the black site, revealing they are in Antarctica. Cypher already knows this, wearing clothes to suit the climate, and chucks a pair to Letty. While Dom is being transported, the truck is hit by a missile and Dom, Ames plus the agency battle Dante, who has kidnapped Isabel. Dom beats up Dante, knocking a tooth out that Dante chucks at him. Dante is also talking about the bridge they are fighting on is the same one where Dom and Brian dragged that vault. Tess, who suddenly reappears, stands on Dante's car aiming a gun at him and a helicopter comes out of nowhere with a sniper on it. Tess gets shot by the sniper and when Isabel is about to get shot as well, Dom saves her. Dante escapes stealing God's Eye from Tess and using it to track Jacob and Little B's location. Isabel takes Tess to a hospital and Ames and Dom team up. Jacob and Little B are at the rendezvous point with Little B discovering a cannon car built by Jacob. How does he make this stuff? They get inside and escape as Dante has found them. Roman, Ramsey, Tej and Han are in Portuguese airspace with Roman blaming himself for putting everyone in this situation because he wanted to be a leader. Han and Ramsey finally have a conversation with Ramsey wanting God's Eye to be used to help people not hurt them. Little B and Jacob casually commit murder and while on a highway Dom makes his own runway by crashing into two cars and meets up with Jacob and Little B leading them to Ames' plane. While heading through a tunnel Dante catches up to them and as the cannons are jammed Little B unjammed it and Dante snatches Little B. Dom chases after Dante and Jacob sacrifices himself clearing a path for Dom who after destroying a couple helicopters that have harpooned him because the physics in the film are the equivalent of a Fast and Furious video game catches up to Dante. Dom uses the still-on-fire wrecked helicopters to destroy more cars and after some 360 spins he spins Dante's car with the wrecked helicopter or car and Dom saves Little B. They head off to the runway where Ames has landed the plane and while crossing a dam Dom is stuck between two self-controlled trucks and Dante reveals Dom is exactly where he wants him to be and has another surprise for him. The plane that Roman and the rest are flying above them. A missile is then shot at it and they are last seen climbing inside their cars before the plane is shot down and veers away into the distance. The person who shot down the plane is revealed to be Mr. Nobody who is the real villain of the franchise. That was a joke, it was Ames, he killed the family, but they're probably alive. Turns out Dante and Ames have had a partnership since the heist in Rio, flashback. Dante tells Saint Dominic that in order to be a saint he has to die a martyr or perform a miracle. He then activates the self-controlled trucks that crash into each other causing an explosion. Dom and Little B go down the dam and fall into the water climbing out alive. Dom and Brian are still not safe as the dam is rigged with bombs. They are activated and the film cuts to black for a while. Cypher and Letty are wandering in the cold in Antarctica until a submarine pops out of nowhere with somebody piloting it. They lower their binoculars and it is revealed to be Giselle. This here would have been my live reaction if I didn't get spoiled.
They played us like a damn fiddle! Come on, start talking, bitch! Come on, get up and start talking!
Cypher asks Letty if she is still questioning her plan, implying that she planned it, and the film cuts to black for real this time. Cue credits. Kidding, there's a post-credit scene. A group of men invade a theater with one of them going to an area that looks similar to Dante's vision board. They get a call from Dante who says that even though Dom did the driving, the person killed his father. The man removes his mask revealing to be Hobbs who crushes the phone, calls Dante a sumbitch and the credits roll. I'm mixed towards it, but I kind of like it. I thought Dom and Brian were going to get into a car accident on a dam, but they survive somehow and are stood at the base of the dam. Ames' betrayal I expected, because if he hates Dom, why does he join him? Ames shooting down Dom's team in the plane was surprising as their fates are unknown. Considering that Han was brought back in 9 only for him to die in 10 wouldn't make sense, so they are probably going to survive. The sudden activation of the bombs around the dam before it cut to black was thrilling as I wasn't expecting it. The actual end in Antarctica made some sense as Cypher already had made a plan as she knew her and Letty were in Antarctica, but seeing the submarine come out of nowhere and seeing Giselle was leaving me with questions I hope get answered in 11. But why kill off Han if Giselle is alive? Even though the post-credits were spoiled for me, I still enjoyed it as I was thinking Dante would forget that Hobbs killed Reyes, not Dom, and Hobbs crushing the phone was cool as he did not care that he is Dante's next target. Dante is the best villain in the franchise. He wants to cause Dom suffering and he has managed to split up the family and somehow be worse than Cypher. He is always ahead of Dom and casually turns Cypher's army against her. Dom and his family have actual stakes as they are being hunted by Dante and the agency, plus their bank accounts are drained to fund mercenaries. There are no unfunny jokes about immortality, instead with Ames mentioning that they broke the laws of gravity and how members of law enforcement are a barbecue and a beer away from corruption. Roman and Tej share some funny jokes and have great scenes together and it doesn't feel forced. Getting into a brawl at an internet cafe is my favorite example of this. Han tripping on a muffin at the internet cafe, I didn't expect it at all. Dom returns to Rio as he is reunited with Diogo and the street race has stakes. Dom going to Isabel's house that used to belong to Elena was a good scene, as before I didn't care much about Isabel. Every stunt and fight scene didn't need to top F9 as they were unique. Editing was very choppy, constantly going back and forth, and Letty and Cypher have barely any screen time, probably wandering aimlessly in Antarctica. I might have got the wrong order for scenes as I had no idea if there was a sudden change of scene and so I mashed scenes together. The plane Jacob and Little B fly out of on the cargo hold, as it made no sense how Jacob could do that. Little B's age. Seriously, how old is he? Jacob and Little B on the plane is my favorite part of the film. Jacob admits he was scared of driving cars after his dad dying, having panic attacks and taking buses instead after Little B admits he doesn't like planes. The guy in the punching bag running off. In F9's post-credit scene it was teased that he has a drive with plans, but this is ignored and nothing is explained. This could be explained in 11 like other things. To answer my question at the start, is this film any good? Yes, it is. Despite some loose plot threads and choppy editing, I still enjoyed it and preferred it to the recent installments of the franchise, but nothing can beat Fast 5. Nothing. It's not the best film nor is it the worst. As this is part 1, all the unanswered questions are probably going to be explained, but it felt unfinished. I like it, so I'm giving it a 7 out of 10.